The Supreme Court is hearing the petition filed by the Enforcement Directorate against West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee for allegedly obstructing the ED search of the office of the IPAC, the political consultant of the All India Trinamool Congress. The latest that we have for you at this point is that the counsel for the Enforcement Directorate has gone on record in the hearing to say this is a shocking case where uniformed police officers sit on dharna with the Chief Minister. The Supreme Court had asked the Enforcement Directorate counsel to explain how is this maintainable, and then you have the ED's counsel going on to say that this is an offence of theft by Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, is what Solicitor General Tushar Mehta has said. This kind of act will encourage state police officers to aid and abet such cases, and also has said set an example, ask authorities to suspend the DGP, Rajiv Kumar, and Police Commissioner and Deputy Police Commissioner of Calcutta. Joining me live on this story is Shreyashi. Shreyashi, some very scathing remarks coming in from the Solicitor General on behalf of the Enforcement Directorate in India's top court right now.
Well, that's right. Just this morning before the hearing, the ED has filed a fresh application for imprisonment of the DOPT as well as the MHA, under whose purview the IPS officers of the state also fall under. Now, the Supreme Court is hearing the matter in which the Enforcement Directorate has alleged that the Chief Minister of West Bengal, along with senior IPS officers and police force, obstructed the raids that were being carried out by the Enforcement Directorate in the alleged coal smuggling scam. The ED here at the Calcutta High Court yesterday also mentioned that there was no seizures done by the Enforcement Directorate. Instead, it's the Chief Minister who had taken all the files and electronic evidences from the location where the search operations were being conducted. One, IPAC office, and second, at Pratik Jain's residence, who is the director of IPAC. Now, the Enforcement Directorate is demanding a CBI investigation into this matter and has asked the Supreme Court to retain all the CCTV footages that have been already seized by the Kolkata police of the day of the search operations that were conducted here in Kolkata. At the same time, there are 4 FIRs that have been filed by Mamata Banerjee's police against the Enforcement Directorate. The ED has also sought a quashing of these FIRs against their officers. So, of course, it's going to be a big face-off between the Mamata Banerjee government and the Enforcement Directorate in the Supreme Court. At this moment, the ASB has already informed the court that this amounts to theft, and if action is not taken against the IPS officers who accompany the minister on the day of the raid, that means that it will set a wrong precedent to the remaining officers across the country in such situations. So, of course, we'll have to keep a close watch on what the Supreme Court ultimately orders. But at this moment, ED is making its points before the bench of the Supreme Court, the division bench of Supreme Court, after which Kapil Sibal will be making arguments on behalf of the Chief Minister of West Bengal.
In fact, he's already interjected from what I can see here. But I want to ask you, Shreyashi, there's a very important comment coming in from the Solicitor General here. I'm just going to read that out, where Tushar Mehta says the officers of ED intimated local police and acting under Section 17 PMLA was to probe IPAC and then all police officers. The Chief Minister took away all the files. This is theft. She took an ED officer's phone as well. A very scathing remark there, a very important remark there being made by the Solicitor General there. How has the Trinamool Congress been reacting to these claims made by the Enforcement Directorate even previously in the hearing in Calcutta?
Well, Vedika, when it comes to the Trinamool Congress, Mamata Banerjee is the last word. And of course, she has been extremely vocal about these search operations conducted by the ED in a 2020 case that they have once again renewed investigation in the alleged coal scam. Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, on the day of the raid, as we were covering, had come out with a green file, a laptop and a mobile phone. Even at the IPAC office, the ED has alleged that the electronic device of the Enforcement Directorate where the data was being transferred was taken away for 2 hours by the DGP of West Bengal Police, Rajiv Kumar, and they were intimidated. The police here have booked the Enforcement Directorate for theft, criminal intimidation, and also for trespassing. So those, charges are also being investigated by the Kolkata police against the Enforcement Directorate. But anyone here in West Bengal will say that these scenes are not new in the state. We have seen this previously in 2019 as well, when the CBI had reached then Police Commissioner Rajiv Kumar, who is now the DGP, his residence to serve him a summon in the alleged Narda scam. And, hell had broken loose with the CBI officers being detained by the Kolkata police. So these situations have, risen before. But Mamata Banerjee has been putting up a brave face. She took out a protest rally the very next day in Kolkata along with her party supporters and leaders. The Trinamool Congress is sticking to its stand that their political data has been stolen by the Enforcement Directorate ahead of the Vidhan Sabha elections here in West Bengal. And this is an attempt that is being made by the BJP, a direct allegation made by the Chief Minister against Home Minister Amit Shah here in Kolkata.
Stand from you if you could take us through what happened in the High Court yesterday, because that also seems to be a part of the conversation happening in the top court right now.
Well, yesterday in the Calcutta High Court, S.V. Raju, on behalf of the Enforcement Directorate, asked that both the matters be adjourned because they are pending before the Supreme Court. That's when Trinamool Congress's counsel, Minika Guruswamy, interjected and said that data had been stolen by the Enforcement Directorate and they want that to be preserved and not be circulated to anyone. That's when the ED also intervened and said that there was no seizure and stated the Panchnama that was recorded at both Pratik Jain's residence as well as the IPAC office, where the Enforcement Directorate has reiterated that no documents of the Trinamool Congress or any documents from IPAC office was seized. There was no electronic evidence was seized. Instead, there was an attempt to criminally intimidate the Enforcement Directorate officers, and files and laptop was taken by the Chief Minister, amounting to theft. So those are the arguments that were made in the Calcutta High Court. Thereafter, the judge, Justice Subra Ghosh, adjourned the matter in which the ED had in fact disposed both the matters. The first matter was disposed because the ED said that no evidence was taken. There was no seizure done at both the locations. And the second matter was disposed because the Supreme Court was hearing it. So essentially, there was nothing that happened significant here at the Calcutta High Court, and the ball was shifted to the Supreme Court of India.
Interesting to even see what's happening inside the Supreme Court, Shrishi, at this point, because the Supreme Court judges have asked if the High Court was converted into a Jantar Mantar, and then you have Tushar Mehta agreeing to it and saying, yes, the court was turned into a Jantar Mantar by circulating a WhatsApp message saying, come to this court on this date and this time. And he goes on to argue, we approach the High Court, now see what happens when mobocracy overtakes democracy. See what the High Court judge observes in the order. It notes huge number of lawyers gathered creating commotion. She stated environment in court was not conducive for a hearing. What can you share about that hearing in terms of what the claims are from the Enforcement Directorate's counsel at this point, that mobocracy took over democracy?
Well, he's obviously stating what happened on the 9th of January, a day after the search operations, when Calcutta High Court took up the matter for hearing at 2:30 p.m. Before Justice Shubhra Ghosh's bench. There was a lot of commotion. The courtroom was small to actually hold so many spectators. There were a lot of advocates. Interns were also present. Media was present inside the courtroom to hear what both the sides had to put before the bench. But thereafter, the judge got missed. She got up and left for her chamber. Kalyan Banerjee, who was representing the Chief Minister, also appealed to the advocates who are not linked to the matter to leave the premises. But that did not happen. The police was at the security outside the courtroom. Pleads were made to the people to vacate the courtroom so that a peaceful hearing can take place. But after 15 minutes, when that did not happen, the matter was adjourned to January 14th, yesterday. And the matter now both have been disposed by the Calcutta High Court, and all eyes on the Supreme Court that is hearing the matter currently, where, of course, Tushar Mehta is making his points on behalf of the Enforcement Directorate, after which Kapil Sibal will be putting in his points on behalf of the Chief Minister of West Bengal.
You know, Nupur is inside the Supreme Court. We will get word from her shortly, but I want to understand from you if you could even further decode this for us, Shreyashi. This is our biggest story here on Breaking Ground at the top of 12 p.m. There is this demand, and has been for a while, by the Enforcement Directorate and through their counsel to suspend DGP Rajiv Kumar, the Police Commissioner, as well as the Deputy Police Commissioner. What has been the stand of the police, the Kolkata police, on this entire fiasco?
Well, when we did speak to the Kolkata Police Commissioner during a public event earlier this week, he refused to comment, saying that the matter is sub judice. As for DGP Rajiv Kumar, this is not the first time that he has been embroiled in a controversy against the central agencies. He's also been featured prominently during CBI raids here in West Bengal and later on as well. But as far as action coming in for DGP, that would, of course, have a larger significance in his, professional career. But he is due to retire at the end of this month. He has only few days left in office, after which he will be demitting his office. So whether or not any action comes in on him at this point will make very little difference. As for the DCP and the Commissioner of Police are concerned, Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has vehemently stand by her officers. Time and again, we have seen her also sit on a dharna earlier for Rajiv Kumar in 2019 when CBI tried to reach his residence. So Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee is also the Home Minister of the state, has always backed her police officers, be it during the RG Kaur, rape and murder case investigation, when there was a lot of public anger towards the police force here. She has stuck the ground and stayed on with her police officers. Those police officers have been reinstated into higher posts currently here in West Bengal. So essentially, we'll have to wait and see what kind of order the Supreme Court passes, and whether or not, Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee challenges that further, or whether or not she really takes any action, will be to see. But so far, we can tell the viewers that going by the history of the state, no such action has ever been taken against any senior IPS officer that has accompanied the Chief Minister during central agency raids.
High Court, Shreyashi, the Solicitor General Tushar Mehta goes on to say, I don't wish to say anything, but we are here to protect fundamental right of our officers. We are acting under the Act, and we do not seize for any personal gains here. So that seems to be one of the claims by the Enforcement Directorate at a time where the Trinamool Congress, Mamata Banerjee, all claim that the Enforcement Directorate, of course, has been their claim repeatedly, is being used as a tool by the centre against them.
Well, that's right. When they did file the application before the Supreme Court, they had stated Article 32 was violated here by the Chief Minister as well as the police officers. On the 8th of January at around 6:20 is when the ED had reached Pratik Jain, a director of IPAC's residence here in Kolkata, and simultaneously also reached the residence or also reached the IPAC office in Kolkata. And they were conducting simultaneous raids. Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee reached Pratik Jain's residence at around noon and walks out with files, a laptop and a mobile phone from Pratik Jain's residence that the ED was examining at that point in time. Thereafter, she came to the IPAC office and she sat on a dharna there along with her party leadership and senior officials of the administration. She came out, she addressed the media. She was there till about 4 p.m. And around 6:30 in the evening, the ED left the IPAC premises. And in the Panchnama, in both these locations, they have stated that there was no seizures made, no documents were seized, and no digital evidence was taken. So essentially, the ED has been raising this point that they haven't been able to go ahead and investigate the case for which they had been given a nod and had taken all the requisite documents to conduct their search operations from the Delhi officers. But of course, this coming ahead of the elections in West Bengal has taken a complete political turn, with the Trinamool Congress pointing fingers at the BJP, saying that they are allegedly misusing the central agencies to steal data of the political party that has engaged the IPAC for over 6 years now in West Bengal. And even at a time when the SIR exercise is being conducted, all their, confidential data is in the IPAC office. Pratik Jain also handles the IT and the social media handles of the party. So all these allegations have been leveled by the Trinamool Congress against the ED. And of course, we are going to see these arguments also play out inside the Supreme Court as the hearing continues.
Just hold off for a moment. I'm going to come back to you in just a moment from now, Shriyoshi, where we will also talk about the bigger picture. Till now, we've been talking about all those big attacks that the Enforcement Directorate's counsel has been making inside the Supreme Court against Mamata Banerjee and her party, the Trinamool Congress, as well as the top cops of the city. But before that, let's just take our viewers through what's really happening inside. Got some of the big attacks here. The Chief Minister has a pattern of taking law into her hands, is one claim by the Enforcement Director. State police misuse, hence suspend some of them. Chief Minister entered without permit, took away files. This is a case of theft, is what they are also saying at this point against Mamata Banerjee. CM also grabbed Enforcement Directorate officer's phone. Central forces being demoralized. Set an example is what they're saying by suspending the top cops who were involved. State will think they can barge in, commit theft. So this could be also them trying to attempt to say here that if you don't do anything about it, this will give more ammo, more ammunition to the state government. Hence, take action is a part of their plea while they are in the top court. Very interesting here, Shriyoshi. One truth, one incident, two versions. Who's really the victim here is the question, and that is what the fight is also essentially all about in India's top court this afternoon.
Well, that's right. The alleged poll scam in which the Enforcement Directorate has begun fresh investigation from New Delhi. Remember, the officers who came to Kolkata to conduct those search operations were all from New Delhi, accompanied by few officers from the Kolkata branch. So essentially, the officers in Delhi who were conducting these search operations at the IPAC office and at the residence of Pratik Jain. But more importantly, so far as the whole investigation is concerned, which is both under the CBI as well as the Enforcement Directorate investigation, majority of the prime accused are out on bail. There have been charge sheets that have been filed by both the CBI as well as the ED, but there has been no trial that has begun. The charge sheets have, been submitted before the special courts in Kolkata as well as New Delhi, where the investigations are being carried out. But really, no one has been put on trial as yet as far as this investigation is concerned, which is why the Trinamool Congress is also questioning the timing of these search operations and the sudden, activeness of the Enforcement Directorate after filing an FIR in ECIR in 2020.
Coming back in a moment, Shriyoshi, because there is something very big coming through from the Supreme Court right now. The Supreme Court has called this a very serious case. The Supreme Court has said it is a very serious matter and we will issue notices, is what we're being told at this point. This has to do, of course, with the case that Shriyoshi and I have been talking about. We will bring you more on this, but going back to you, Shriyoshi, continue with what you were saying at this point. But this is a very serious observation being made by India's top court in the case.
Well, usually when such allegations are made, the court does give the respondents time to file their side of the allegations, and that happens in terms of notices. This is to ascertain whether or not these officers were actually at the place of the search operations as being alleged by the ED. The evidence that has been seized, that is the CCTV visuals from both these locations where the search operations were being conducted by the Enforcement Directorate. So all these details will be, required by the Supreme Court before a larger order can be, passed. So usually notices being issued to the respondents or the petitioners are a usual form of the Supreme Court. But of course, this is a high voltage hearing that is taking place in the Supreme Court. And on behalf of the Enforcement Directorate, Tushar Mehta is making the arguments. And shortly from now, Kapil Sibal will be keeping his, arguments before the Supreme Court on behalf of the West Bengal government. But of course, some very, very serious allegations being made by the Enforcement Directorate against the Mamata Banerjee government of obstructing search operations during the alleged coal scam investigation here in Kolkata.
So two big developments from inside the top court, and I'm going to just recap that for our viewers, then we'll go back to Shreyashi. Shreyashi, this is important to note what has happened inside the Supreme Court. Some big remarks coming in from the top court. They have said, and I'm quoting the judges here, we are very much disturbed by what happened in court. That's something you and I just discussed, perhaps, the references to the 9th. And then it is a very serious issue. SC intends to issue notices. The hearing is still on, and you have Kapil Sibal, who has also intervened, saying that here are side of the story first before issuing those notices. And SC says, we are hearing you, but we are very much disturbed on what has happened in the High Court. So while you have that face-off between the BJP, the Trinamool Congress, and the Enforcement Directorate, you also have a lot happening parallelly on what happened in Kolkata in that hearing in the High Court. Shreyashi is still with us. All right, I believe Shreyashi is not with us for a moment there. We'll try and reconnect with her. But a lot of developments coming in from India's top court there on this matter between the Enforcement Directorate and the Trinamool Congress. It's fiery Mamata Banerjee versus the Enforcement Directorate. You've had the Trinamool Congress say repeatedly that in this case, we have seen the centre use the Enforcement Directorate against us over and over again. That is one of their top claims. They are playing the victim card there as well. But you have the Enforcement Directorate through its counsel today saying that this is our job and we were just doing our job. But the big takeaway for now, while this hearing continues, is that the Supreme Court has said that this is a serious case. It's a disturbing matter, especially what happened inside the court. They will be issuing notices. That's when Kapil Sibal, who is representing the Trinamool Congress here, Mamata Banerjee here, has stepped in and said, hold on, just listen to us before you go ahead and issue those notices. Remember, this case dates back to a couple of days back when you had the ED raid the IPAC office and residence of its co-founder, and then Mamata Banerjee was seen storming in. That file in her hand has been highly controversial in terms of the claims by the Enforcement Directorate, and we will try and get our reporters on this story, which is developing every minute. Some very important observations coming in there from the Supreme Court. I'm going to take you through some of them from the very top, where you've had the big charges on Mamata Banerjee being levelled by Tushar Mehta, who's representing the Enforcement Directorate. He has said that Mamata Banerjee barged into that raid that took place when the Enforcement Directorate was raiding the IPAC office and the co-founder's residence. Mamata Banerjee took away files and an officer's phone. They claim that this is clear theft by Mamata Banerjee. Mobocracy under Mamata Banerjee is what they're also saying, that this is a case of mobocracy versus democracy is what everyone expects. These are all charges, remember, being levelled by Tushar Mehta on behalf of the Enforcement Directorate inside India's top court. They also claim that a crowd gathered in the High Court when this matter was being heard on the 9th. The claim also here, and this is very important to note, is that there was a lot of movement that had happened inside the High Court and right outside. So what the Enforcement Directorate is trying to claim here is that a lot of that maneuvering was orchestrated by the Trinamool Congress. You also have them claiming that WhatsApp messages were sent out for crowds to gather there, and that the High Court turned into Jantar Mantar, which essentially means there was utter chaos inside and outside the High Court. Shreyashi is now on the phone line with me on this. Shreyashi, some very scathing remarks coming in. The focus is, of course, as much on what happened on the 9th inside the High Court as it is on the raids and the fallout of the raid.
Well, absolutely. And what the Enforcement Directorate is essentially doing is it's highlighting the kind of obstruction it has faced in West Bengal while carrying out an investigation. Now, the Enforcement Directorate has been investigating the alleged coal pilferage scam here in the state of West Bengal since 2020. And it had renewed its search operations on the 8th of January here in West Bengal, but faced obstruction from none other than the Chief Minister herself, who barged into the raid site in Kolkata at IPAC Director Pratik Jain's residence, and thereafter the IPAC office along with her officials. Now, the Enforcement Directorate has, of course, raised this part where they faced obstruction directly from the Chief Minister of West Bengal. And they're also raising the obstruction for the hearing that happened on the very next day at the Calcutta High Court, where the judge could not hear the matter, got missed, left for her chamber and passed an order of adjournment of this hearing till the 14th of January, causing a further delay in the ED's investigation. So now the matter is being heard in the Supreme Court, where the Enforcement Directorate is reiterating the kind of, roadblocks it takes here in West Bengal, highlighting these obstructions to ensure that the Supreme Court takes action against the West Bengal government and passes an order in favor of the Enforcement Directorate.
All right, now let's also just take our viewers through what's happening inside the Supreme Court. Kapil Sibal has started speaking as well. He is, like I said, representing Mamata Banerjee. He is the counsel for Mamata Banerjee and the Trinamool Congress. Kapil Sibal has asked some very valid questions as well, Shreyashi. Some of them are, what was the need to go there in the midst of election season? Last development in the coal scam, that is the basis on which that raid was conducted according to the Enforcement Directorate. So Kapil Sibal says the last development in the coal scam case took place in February 2024. What were they doing there in 2026? So Shreyashi, you have the Trinamool Congress in the top court questioning the timing of these raids.
Well, that's right. The Chief Minister herself has also alleged that all this is being done at the behest of the Bharatiya Janata Party, where the ED has been sent here in West Bengal to take away confidential party data that is with the IPAC and belongs to the Trinamool Congress, because the IPAC has been assisting the Trinamool Congress for the past 6 years. But also the allegations that the ED has made is very important in this case. It has said that IPAC has, and especially Pratik Jain, has been a beneficiary of Hawala money that has come into IPAC in crores. And the Enforcement Directorate, in its official statement on January 8th, had, spoken out about these Hawala links in the alleged coal smuggling scam, which led them to the IPAC office,
Yes.
saying that Hawala money was parked in IPAC's account. And
just hold on for a moment, Shreyashi. I do have Priyanka Tibrawal from the BJP joining me on the phone line. Ms. Tibrawal, I'm going to come to you in a moment from now. A quick recap, even for your benefit, of what's happening inside India's top court on this hearing. You have Kapil Sibal, who is the counsel for the Trinamool Congress, now saying IPAC, as we all know, takes care of the elections in West Bengal. There's a formal contract between the TMC and IPAC in 2021. Justice Mishra then goes on to say elections in West Bengal, is it conducted by the ECI or the IPAC? And then Kapil Sibal comes in to say all election data is confidential and it is all kept there. There will be a lot of information on candidates. Why was the news to go there in the midst of an election season? How do you respond to that, Ms. Tibrawal? Because it seems that one of the main issues here that are being put forth by the Trinamool Congress is that the coal scam was recorded in February 2024. Why were the raids conducted now?
Well, the Supreme Court has rightly pointed out that it is the Election Commission who is supposed to conduct the elections and not IPAC. See, they may be seeking help from IPAC, but does that stop the law from proceeding against a company if there has been any money laundering under the PMLA Act? No. It is not that they get shelter just because they are supporting a political party. They can be, investigated. There can be raids if there has been an illicit transfer of money somewhere. Coming more to it, and I think that was also correctly spoken by Mr. Tushar Mehta when he said that this is what happens when mobocracy takes over democracy. In a courtroom, there has to be a certain culture. It is not that a mob can take over democracy.
But
So
Priyanka, you also have
court,
the Trinamool Congress through Kapil Sibal, their counsel, saying that there is very sensitive data inside that office. Why conduct the raid now? How do we fight an election is something that Sibal has said inside the top court right now. Chairman has the right to protect it and thus went there. Your response?
I would like to ask learned Mr. Kapil Sibal that is there any law or a section which says that if there are certain documents which are politically related to some party or parties, then that particular place has to be cordoned and it cannot be investigated by agencies. There is no law as such. Tomorrow other people will say that, don't conduct any raid in this particular office because Congress has certain documents. Tomorrow DMK will say, don't conduct a raid because DMK has documents. Is that possible? There has to be legality in the submissions which are being made by Mr. Kapil Sibal.
All right, Priyanka, thanks for joining me there on the phone line here on Breaking Ground. Shreyashi is also still with us on the phone line there. Quick recap for our viewers of all that's happened in the last 35 minutes inside the top court. Some very scathing charges made by the Enforcement Directorate. They have said that this is an instance of theft also by Mamata Banerjee. She walked in, she picked up files, she picked up sensitive information and she walked out. The Enforcement Directorate wants heads to roll. They want the suspension of the top cops who were involved. But now you have Kapil Sibal who is speaking. Initially it was Tushar Mehta, the Solicitor General. Now you have Kapil Sibal who represents Mamata Banerjee, speaking at this moment inside the top court, and he has also made some points here. The big takeaway, Shreyashi, is the questioning of the timing of this raid that was conducted inside the office of the IPAC and the house of the co-founder of IPAC. That's the top comment there made by Kapil Sibal, the top argument by him, and then he goes on to even talk about confidential data and how this could impact the upcoming election in the state.
Absolutely. There was a showdown between the Enforcement Directorate and the Chief Minister just last Thursday, and 7 days later another matter is being heard in the Supreme Court where the fresh showdown is taking place. Now, what happened last Thursday? Last Thursday, the Enforcement Directorate early morning along with Central Force had reached the IPAC office and the residence of its director, Pratik Jain's residence in Kolkata, and was conducting search operations as per their statutory guidelines, following all the legal norms with a search warrant along with them. But Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee reached Pratik Jain's residence at noon along with the Police Commissioner of Kolkata. Earlier, the DCP had visited the spot saying that they had received a complaint of trespassing. They ascertained whether they are actually ED officials or not. Their IDs were checked and a briefing was given to both the Kolkata Police Commissioner as well as the House Priyavrata Roy. Thereafter, the Chief Minister walked out with a green file, a laptop and Pratik Jain's mobile phone, saying that she will not let the ED steal data from the Trinamool
All right,
Congress.
and do stay with me because I do have TMC's Mohammad Tawfiq Rehman on the phone line with us. Mr. Rehman, thank you for speaking to us here on Breaking Ground. A lot happening inside the top court as we speak, but some of the points being made by the Enforcement Directorate is what I want you to counter, of course, at this point, which is that they are saying this was theft by Mamata Banerjee when she walked off with sensitive data. Your response?
Good afternoon, everyone. See, ED has a right to say whatever they want to say. We have a fundamental right and right of privacy, right of fundamental things. And we will go by the law as well because we are not going to jump the gun at any time. And we will not allow anyone to sabotage our 2026 West Bengal election, And so let's see and wait for the court reaction, whatever the Honorable Supreme Court says, and we will follow it. It's as simple as that. But yes, whatever happened yesterday at the High Court was worth seeing because Mr. Raju was interrupting continuously and he had no idea about what he's saying as well because he was talking about caveat and there was no caveat. So let's wait and watch for the Supreme Court decision. Whatever the Supreme Court says, everyone has to follow that accordingly.
Kapil Sibal has also said right now inside court that the Enforcement Directorate's allegations are to create prejudice. What prejudice is he talking about, sir?
See, these are the same people, they want precedent rule. These are the same people, they want to harass the people of Bengal. So this is what Kapil Sibal is want to tell all about this. अब आप देखो ना, आप कपिल सिब्बल जी जो भी कह रहे हैं वो सही है ना, बंगाल के लिए सही है. बट अगर कहोगे कि ईडी अपने वहाँ से कुछ बोल रहा है या सीबीआई इंक्वायरी चाहिए इनको, तो वी हैव टू वेट एंड वॉच. इट एज सिंपल एज दैट. मुझे अभी टीवी पे बोल के मैं क्या ही बोल दूंगा आपको, बिकॉज सुप्रीम कोर्ट का जो भी डिसीजन है वी हैव टू सी टू इट. वी हैव टू वेट एंड वॉच.
So the Trinamool Congress there going ahead and presenting their version here on Breaking Ground. Anushka also joining me live. She's going to tell us more about the Enforcement Directorate's claims, defense at this point. Anushka, before I come to you, I just want to read out again what's happening inside court. We're trying to get you every comment made inside, tracking all developments inside and outside the Supreme Court on this very big story here on Breaking Ground. So you have Kapil Sibal arguing for the Mamata Banerjee government. He goes on to say completely malified attempt by the Enforcement Directorate for trying to get confidential party data Kapil Sibal then says Enforcement Directorate reached at about 6:20 a.m. and Chief Minister came at about 12 p.m. and left at 12:15 p.m. We are also very disturbed as to why the Enforcement Directorate shall wait for 2 years and then go to a place which is a part of a party office. Then he goes on to show the video recordings. He's saying, please see the video recording. It is a blatant lie that all digital devices were taken. Anushka, tell us more about the Enforcement Directorate's defense on all these claims being made by the Trinamool Congress, the Bengal Government's Council, represented by Kapil Sibal inside the top court.
Well, that's right, Vedika. We are seeing an intense showdown that is going inside the Supreme Court between the Mamata Banerjee's lawyer, and we are seeing that the SG Tushar Mehta is in fact also keeping out ED's perspective in this whole case. We did see that when the ED went to the IPAC office, we saw how the state, Mamata Banerjee, who's the Chief Minister of West Bengal, had barged inside the IPAC office and at the director's house, and she had taken several documents that were connected to this case, which the ED had opposed. Now, they had taken this case to the High Court, where the High Court was disrupted, and the ED has in fact also argued in this case that the High Court was intentionally disrupted so that the case cannot be discussed, after which the Enforcement Directorate went to the Supreme Court stating this whole matter. Now the Supreme Court is in fact also trying to understand why this whole matter took place. The ED and in fact SG Tushar Mehta has clearly said that in this whole case, if things like this happen, and the Mamata Banerjee government is known to conduct these kind of acts more than often, and that is why there is a need to issue notices to the people who are in fact involved in this particular act. The ED has asked for the suspension of the people who are present there. They have also mentioned how an ED officer's phone was taken away from him. So this is somehow going to in fact demoralize the central agency forces. He has also underlined how this whole, the whole money that is laundered when ED finds out the money trial, the money directly goes to the people from whom the money was in fact taken away. And this was a PMLA. The rates were in fact going under the PMLA Act, after which the IPAC had in fact taken that, this whole case was in fact taken. Now we are seeing that Kapil Sibal himself has argued that what was the necessity for the ED to barge in during the time of election, to which we are seeing the Mamata Banerjee government is in fact right now arguing, saying that ED has a habit of showing up at the doors of people when the election takes place, and that is how the Mamata Banerjee government is right now arguing on this case. But we are seeing that on the merits, if we discuss about this, the Supreme Court has clearly mentioned that if such act is taking place, then where does the onus really lies on? Because we are seeing that the Mamata Banerjee government is clearly stating and accusing the ED that there were many party details, the information about the strategy of the TMC that were mentioned in the particular files that Mamata Banerjee took away with her when she left the IPAC office. But we are seeing that in this case, the ED is surely arguing about what kind of precedent this is going to set, and if this goes unnoticed, then maybe in different parts of places where the ED goes to raid, places where the whole corruption act is in fact taking place, and this is going to encourage other people also to do the similar thing. And that is why we are seeing that Tushar Mehta is arguing about this whole case. He has in fact taken precedent into this, and has in fact also argued that if this goes on, this is going to demoralize the central agencies and further hinder the whole process of the investigation that is in fact going on. Over to you.
Anushka, do stay with me. I'm going to come back to you in a moment from now. More details emerging from the hearing, which is ongoing inside the Supreme Court, India's top court, where the Supreme Court has drilled Kapil Sibal over claims that the Enforcement Directorate was after confidential documents. You cannot stop us from issuing the notice, is what the top court has told Kapil Sibal. If the ED wanted, they could have seized the files. Sibal then goes on to say, or they could just take pictures of these files without seizing. Then Justice Mishra has said if they had any intention to seize your election data, they would have taken it, but they did not. You cannot stop us from issuing the notice, where Kapil Sibal then says, of course, we can't. We are only trying to persuade you. So a lot of drama inside the top court as well. One, it's over what happened inside the High Court on the 9th. You have a very strong comment even coming in from Tushar Mehta on behalf of the Enforcement Directorate, where they said this is mobocracy over democracy. Now, Anushka, you have the TMC claiming that they're victims in this case. They're saying that the centre is using ED as a tool against them. And then you have the top court now observing that if the Enforcement Directorate wanted to, they could have taken all that sensitive data with them if they had to. What has the ED's defense been on TMC's claims here?
Well, that's right, Vedika. We are seeing that the Mamata Banerjee government is right now arguing that there were sensitive details regarding to the election strategy that were inside the files which Mamata Banerjee took away, to which the ED has firmly replied that only a fool would take away those details when all the details of the SIR, that is the special intensive review that is conducted in every states right now, that we are seeing that the information regarding the SIR is very easily available on the website. So there is no need to in fact take away the files whose details is very much there in the website that the ED can very easily take. So we are seeing that the Supreme Court has in fact maintained the fact that if ED wanted, they could have taken away all those sensitive files which Mamata Banerjee had taken away during the time the raids were in fact conducted. Tushar Mehta has clearly said that this is mobocracy over democracy. There was an attempt to hinder the High Court also when the ED approached the High Court, stating that this whole case was in fact a plan to disrupt the ED's raid that was going on in the IPAC office. We have seen in this case the Supreme Court has told Kapil Sibal that they cannot stop the Supreme Court from issuing notice to the people who were involved when the files were taken away during the time of raids. We have seen that FIRs were filed against the ED officers. There was this case that was registered against the ED regarding trespassing and criminal intimidation is the FIR that was registered against the ED, to which Tushar Mehta has clearly stated that this takes away the onus from the ED, and also that this is going to set precedent if ED goes to conduct election raids on any different state where the election is right now going on. Then this is going to set a very negative precedent for the ED, and it is going to demoralize the central agency for conducting further raids. The money that ED collects after doing these kind of raids and the proceeds of crime clearly goes into the funds of people who have suffered at the hands of corruption or any kind of activities. So now we are seeing that the ED is maintaining the fact that they were conducting raids that was connected to the Goa election. It all happened between 2022 to 2024, and we are seeing that Kapil Sibal has argued that when the last update came in 2024, then what was the requirement for the ED to barge inside the office of IPAC in 2026? Now, to which the ED has in fact said that a fresh case had emerged, and that is why ED came to the doors of the IPAC office and also at the house of the chairperson Prateek Jain. We have seen how the state administration was there outside the gates where the raids were conducted. FIRs were filed on the ED officers who were conducting the raids, and now we are seeing that the Supreme Court has
More news coming in from the top court. Anushka, bear with me for a moment. I'm trying to get all the live updates to our viewers as quickly as possible. Kapil Sibal has also said to the Supreme Court on Enforcement Directorate's raids in Kolkata that this should be heard by the Calcutta High Court. Proper hierarchy should be followed. Enforcement Directorate is filing parallel proceedings, is the plea there by Kapil Sibal as well. Let's just take a step back for a moment to look at the big picture politically over this. I have Ankit Tyagi also joining me live. Ankit, SIR till now was the main issue. The main issue for the political face-off ahead of the state elections between the BJP and Mamata Banerjee's party. Now, in the last 2 weeks, we've seen this issue of the enforcement raid really take center stage, making that fight even more bitter between the two fierce political rivals.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. And just ahead of, a few months before the elections, in fact, a couple of months now left for West Bengal election, this also goes in a way that both sides, the centre, largely the BJP and Mamata Banerjee, want to play this election out. And while you were, like you said, a larger political picture, the constant theme has been that Mamata Banerjee works outside the realm of the constitution. She doesn't care, and West Bengal is being run as a fiefdom. That's the charge that the BJP has time and again made on the Bengal Chief Minister. And with the ED, this is not the first time that a central agency has been at loggerheads with Mamata Banerjee. Remember, there was a massive, apart from the Election Commission earlier as well, with the BSF, there were a lot of, war of words between the centre and the West Bengal Chief Minister, where she, in fact, in one election, accused the central forces of helping the BJP. And since then, she has been in this street fighter mode. On the other hand, Mamata Banerjee and the TMC would want to paint it as some sort of a attack on their federalism, on their rights as a state, with the ED coming in the Kapil Sibal arguing on the same line, saying that they were after some sort of confidential data of the party, which did not which had nothing to do with the case in which the ED is probing IPAC and Mr. Jain. Now, the question here that the Supreme Court is asking is the way and the manner in which it has been made a political arena, in which messages were circulated for the TMC supporters to come to the High Court even when the High Court was hearing this matter. Meanwhile, Kapil Sibal has once again argued and said that, the ED is trying to open multiple fronts. One petition is in the High Court, the other one in the Supreme Court. So they are only trying to divert from the real issues because the proceedings and the Panchnama is with them. They should have, at that point of time, in fact, raised this question of obstruction in their work, which they are now claiming. But Vedika, largely the battle and the messaging is political. For Mamata Banerjee, she wants to resume her street fighter image. For her supporters, she would not give an inch before the elections. And for the BJP, they want to term her as somebody ruling against the set rules and parameters of the constitution.
All right, before I go back to both Ankit as well as Anushka, quick recap. On your screens, you can even see the claim and the counter being made by the Enforcement Directorate Council versus Mamata Banerjee's counsel, where they're going on to saying there's a clear theft by Mamata Banerjee, while you have the Bengal government saying that the ED tried to steal party poll information. So there's a theft and counter theft charge that you can see that is also being made. Then you also have the Enforcement Directorate coming out and saying that Mamata barged into the raid when the raid was on. You have the Trinamool Congress Council, the Bengal Government Council, Kapil Sibal, saying that the raid started at 6 o'clock. Mamata Banerjee only entered at 12 noon. Also, Abhishek Manu Singhvi is also a part of the council. He is representing the state government as well as the DGP. And Abhishek Manu Singhvi now is arguing, saying that in the case the Supreme Court issues a notice, it should be said that maintainability of this will be heard. Singhvi argues that the High Court should be hearing this matter. So that's what we're seeing, Anushka. We're seeing both the representatives of the Bengal Government Council as well as the representative for the top cop there wanting to push this case back to the Calcutta High Court at this point.
That's right, Vedika. We did see that the ED had first approached the Calcutta High Court in this whole case. We have seen how this whole case went on at Calcutta High Court, where a lot of disruption was in fact created, after which the Calcutta High Court had said that they will be hearing this matter on 14th, after which the ED had to approach the Supreme Court. Now we are seeing that the state government, that is the West Bengal government, is right now arguing that the ED was trying to, in fact, create a kind of statement during the time of election. We have seen that Kapil Sibal has continuously said this in his argument that during the time of election, the central agencies are being used at the behest of the central government, at which the Solicitor General Tushar Mehta had said that that there's no proper notification that has been issued for the election that is going in that is about to take place in West Bengal. We are seeing that this whole state government, Kapil Sibal has been in fact arguing that in this whole case, when the raid started, it started around 6 a.m. in the morning, and Mamata Banerjee reached the office around 12 p.m. in the noon, while the ED is arguing that there was a clear attempt to theft that was made by Mamata Banerjee, to which we are seeing that the argument is right now going on. The Supreme Court has clearly stated to Kapil Sibal that they cannot stop the Supreme Court from issuing notice, to which Kapil Sibal has said that they are only trying to persuade the Supreme Court, the top court, which is right now hearing the matter. We're also seeing that Kapil Sibal is trying to say that in this whole case, Calcutta High Court should be hearing this matter. And now we are seeing that they are also claiming that the ED is right now trying to open multiple fronts in this whole case. But we are seeing so far that, there's a clear showdown that is, and very intense showdown that is going on inside the Supreme Court, where the ED is clearly, the Tushar Mehta is clearly stating that if this goes on, then this will set the precedent for other raids as well.
Yes.
Anyone will try to barge in where the theft, the raids are going on, and this is an attempt to stop ED from doing its job. And the money that ED collects via this whole case, the corruption case, it straight goes to the accounts of the people who have suffered at the hands of the corruption. So now we are seeing that the ED
All
is
right,
arguing
Anushka, I just have a couple of minutes left, and I will bring in Tejshri, who's now joining us from outside the Supreme Court. Tejshri, very quickly, the 5 big takeaways from that heated argument going on inside the top court for almost an hour now.
Well, number one, let us talk about so as to what the Solicitor General Tushar Mehta has been stating. He has been recounting all those incidents that took place outside at the High Court during the time of hearing. 3 FIRs, CCTV not present, and in a way the mob was in fact called. They were not the lawyers, but it was a mob who was called. Number two, Supreme Court should set a precedent after giving during this hearing, or in fact to set such a kind of an example that next time if there is an agency that goes in the state of West Bengal, there is no hindrance to it, or they are not even threatened. So such an example should be set. Number three, if we talk about what the lawyers of the TMC have been stating, advocates Kapil Sibal and Abhishek Manu Singhvi, they are questioning the timing so as to why in the year 2026, because it was January 24, in the year 2024 when the last statements in the coal scam in the money laundering case were taken. Then now why the ED has stepped in right now when there are elections in the state of West Bengal. Supreme Court has stated that this is a very serious matter and you cannot stop us from issuing a notice. This is what they have stated. So that's the latest update that we are getting you from the court. Now needs to be seen that what happens, because there are very quite strong arguments going on from the side of TMC or advocates of TMC and advocates of ED as well. Needs to be seen that how Supreme Court takes this matter, because in fact if we talk about the Supreme, because if we talk about what Abhishek Manu Singhvi and Kapil Sibal have been stating, they are stating that if Supreme Court issues the notice, then it should first decide whether the case is even maintainable or not. Back to you.
All right, Tejshri, Ankit, Anushka, thank you for joining me live on that big story. This is not going to end anytime soon, viewers. It's been over an hour that we've seen this heated argument between the two sides continue in India's top court. We'll be on top of the story, bringing you all the live observations by the judges there, all the arguments being made by Kapil Sibal, Abhishek Manu Singhvi and the Solicitor General of India. Thank you for watching. We'll be back in a moment from now. Stay tuned.